And we can move on to hadith number 40. And this is the hadith of Ibn Umar radiyallahu anhuma. And he said, قال أخذ رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بمنكبي فقال, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he took hold of me by my shoulders, and he said, كن في الدنيا كأنك غريب أو عابر سبيل, that be in the world as if you are a stranger or a traveler on his way, a traveler on the path. And Ibn Umar, وكان ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما يقول, and Ibn Umar used to say, إذا أمسيت فلا تنتظر الصباح وإذا أصبحت فلا تنتظر المساء وخذ من صحتك لمرضك ومن حياتك لموتك. That when you reach the evening, do not wait for the morning. And when you reach the morning, do not wait for the evening. And take from your health for your illness, and take from your life for your death. This is reported by Al-Bukhari. And so the Shaykh, we begin with Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah. So he first of all mentions that the action of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he placed his hands upon the shoulders of Ibn Umar, and this was in order that Ibn Umar may be present in his mind and his heart to receive what the Messenger intended to say to him. So it's like a type of drawing attention from him. And then he said to him, كن في الدنيا كأنك غريب أو عابر سبيل. Be in the world as if you are a stranger or a traveler upon his way. So al-gharib, when we say a stranger, then a stranger is someone who hasn't taken an abode, meaning a place which is a fixed place of his living or being established. And so this is a gharib. A gharib is someone he doesn't have any fixed abode where he lives or where he stays. And the abiru sabil, the traveler on his way, then he is one who is traveling, but he never becomes established in any particular place. He's always on a journey and traveling, and he never settles in any one particular place. He just passes by them, but it never becomes permanent. So this is the gharib and the abiru sabil. And between these two, the gharib, because the Messenger has mentioned two things here. He mentioned the gharib, al-gharib, and he mentioned the abiru sabil. He said that of the two, the abiru sabil is more perfect in his zuhud, meaning in his abstinence and keeping away from the world. Because the abiru sabil isn't someone who sits. He isn't someone who sits around, rather he's constantly on the move. He's always on the move. Whereas the gharib, the one who is al-gharib, then he sits, he's in a place, but he doesn't take it as a sakan or a qarar, meaning as an established residence, but he's just gharib. Whereas the abiru sabil is constantly on the move. He's always moving one place to another place, and each place is just temporary. So it shows that the abiru sabil is greater in the zuhud, in the sense that he hasn't found contentment in just being in one place. Rather, he's always on the move. So the Shaykh says that this advice here from the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this short sentence, "Kun fi dunya ka'annaka gharibun aw abiru sabilin," be in the world as if you are a stranger or a traveler on his way, then this means, or this refers to az-zuhud. Az-zuhud in the world, not being inclined towards it, because however long a person may live, it is inevitable that he will always separate from this life. And likewise we see that this life, or this abode that we are in, this earth, then it isn't an abode and it isn't a life which is just full of happiness and which is just pure and in that sense. Rather, we see that there are two things There are two things which are inevitable, and there are two things which lighten the happiness and the pleasure and the joy that are found upon the earth. And these two things are al-maut wal-haram. Al-maut wal-haram. Al-maut is death, and al-haram is reaching an old age, like a senile, feeble old age. These two things, when you understand that these two things are a reality, and every single soul will taste death, and likewise will pass, or for those who do, for those who are given, for whom it is decreed that they will live a long life, then they will reach al-haram, the state of al-haram, or life, senility, and so these things are inevitable. So when a person understands this, the Shaykh says, how can then a person be inclined towards the earth? How can he become attached to it? And so this advice is that you should be upon this earth as if you are a stranger, as if you don't know anybody and nobody doesn't know you, or like a stranger, someone who is always on the move, and he never ever has the niyyah or the intention to permanently be settled in just one particular place. So this was the advice given to Ibn Umar. And then look at how Ibn Umar, because in the hadith that Al-Bukhari narrates here, after mentioning the hadith, he then says, وَكَانَ Ibn Umar. And Ibn Umar himself used to say, meaning that he took this advice of the Prophet ﷺ, and he put it across, and he gave like an interpretation of it to show that this is how he acted upon it, and this is what he took from it. This is what he took from the advice of the Messenger. So he said that when you reach the evening, do not wait for the morning, and when you reach the morning, do not wait for the evening. And take from your health for your illness, and take from your life for your death. And so the Shaykh comments upon this, and he says there are two meanings and two interpretations of the saying of Ibn Umar radiyallahu anhuma. And so the first meaning is that when you reach the evening, don't wait for the morning, meaning that when you wish to do an action, do it now, do it right now. Don't wait, for example, for the next day, or don't wait, for example, till you say that I will do it tomorrow, I will do it so and so time or whatever. Because if a person was to do this, then he will keep delaying his actions. So if he reaches the evening, he'll delay his action to the morning. If he reaches the morning, he'll delay his action to the evening. And so the Shaykh says this is wrong. Rather, the action which you can do right now, do it right now. Don't wait for the next day. And so this is the first meaning, and the second meaning is that when you reach the evening, don't wait for the morning, meaning because death could come to you. A death could reach you before you even reach the morning. And when you reach the morning, don't wait for the evening, because you could die before you even reach the evening. And the Shaykh says that when we look in our times, and we see that this occurs a great deal, it happens all the time, and we look at the happenings around us. You see a man, he will leave his house. He will be leaving his house to go to somewhere. He will say to his family, I will be back for the evening supper, the supper or the meal. I will be back. And so he goes, and he never comes back. He never returns, because something has happened, some calamity has taken place, and so he separates from the world. Or he might even die suddenly. And the Shaykh says that we see nowadays people just dying suddenly. And so for this reason, the Shaykh says that many people, they have a statement, and they say that you should work and act for your worldly affairs as if you will live forever. And you should work and act for the affairs of the hereafter as if you will die in the morning, as if you will die tomorrow. Right? So basically, the comparing between your actions for your worldly affairs and your actions for the hereafter. For your worldly affairs, treat it as if you're going to live forever. And for your affairs of the hereafter, meaning your ibadah, the affairs of worship, the taqwa, iman, and ta'ah, obedience, and istighfar, and tawbah, seeking forgiveness and repentance, and so on and so forth, then act as if you're going to die tomorrow. And the Shaykh says that the meaning of this statement that is made by the people, or by some of the people of knowledge, is that don't let the world be your occupation. Take it easy as it relates to the world, and such that, if you don't achieve something today, then you can achieve it tomorrow. And obviously, what the Shaykh, we don't confuse between what the Shaykh is saying here and what's in the hadith, in the statement of Ibn Umar, because Ibn Umar is speaking about the affairs of ibadah and your connection to Allah and your worship and your obedience, things of that nature. But here we are speaking of, when we speak about the world, that if you don't manage to do something today, you can do it tomorrow. Meaning the worldly affairs, don't let them consume you. And as for the hereafter, actions for the hereafter, then do them as if you are going to die tomorrow. Meaning don't delay the action. An action you can do right now, a righteous action, a bit of charity, seeking forgiveness, making tawbah, some nafil prayers, whatever else, do it right now. Do it right now. Don't delay it till tomorrow. And the Shaykh says, it is also claimed that this statement here that we've mentioned here is ascribed to the Prophet ﷺ as a hadith, but it's not authentic as a hadith. It is not a hadith. It is just a statement that has been said and passed on. Then Ibn Umar also said, take from your health for your illness. And this is because, as the Shaykh explains, a person when he's healthy and fit, then a person has an open chest, an open heart, he's healthy, he has the means, he has the qudra, he's able to do actions, it's very easy upon him. And when he becomes ill, then we see that he is incapacitated, he's not able to do anything, he's able to do very, very little. And even if he's able to do the action, then it will be with a lot of difficulty and a lot of stress and hardship. And so therefore the advice is that when you are fit and healthy, then take advantage of that time and do as much as you can as it relates to the worship of Allah and becoming close to Allah and all of the various deeds. And likewise, take from your life for your death, as in a person who is living, present, is able to act, then he should use all that time to act, because when he dies, then all his actions are cut off except for 3, as we know in the hadith. So take from your life as a preparation for what comes after death. And so the Shaykh says these words here really in this hadith are really amazing and a type of illumination. And if we were to proceed upon this methodology in our lives, that we took these words and this advice to heart and we acted upon this advice, both what the Messenger said and like what Ibn Umar, his explanation and elaboration upon what the Messenger said, that this is an excellent methodology for us in our lives. And if we were to act upon these two, then our worldly affairs would become very, very easy. Meaning that the world wouldn't become so much of an issue to us anymore. It would become very light and very easy. And we wouldn't really be so concerned with it, nor would we be preoccupied with it. And so this advice here in this hadith really is amazing and beneficial. And he mentions a beautiful and amazing statement from Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. And Ibn Taymiyyah says, now pay attention to this, he says, it is desirable for a man that he should treat his wealth, meaning his possessions, his mal, he should treat it كَأَنَّهُ حِمَارٌ, as if it is a donkey, which he rides upon. Right, so your wealth is like a donkey. You only use it when you need it for a purpose. So you ride upon it, and then it fulfills its purpose, then you leave it, then you might need to ride upon it again. Right? And then he continues and he says, or as if it is, or as if it is a lavatory, which he needs to use according to his need. Right? It's like a lavatory, Baytul Khala. So basically he uses the lavatory as and when he needs it. He's not always in the lavatory. And when he needs to use the lavatory, then he goes and uses the lavatory. And so likewise, wealth should be treated in the same way. Wealth, so obviously this is a really good example from Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. So wealth, when you think of wealth, think of a donkey or a lavatory. And then it will put it into perspective for you. And this is how Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he has mentioned, and he said that this is zuhud. This is what is abstinence from the world, and it's put across in this statement by Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. So this is the commentary of the Shaykh. Then he moves on to mention some of the benefits we can take from this hadith. He mentioned 6 benefits from the hadith. So from them, first of all, is at-tazheed fi dunya, which is being abstinent or having abstinence towards the world, and that a person shouldn't take this world as if it is a permanent abode, because the Messenger said, "Kun fi dunya ka'annaka gharibun aw 'abiru sabilin." Be in the world as if you are a stranger, being a stranger to this world or a traveller on his way. The second benefit the Shaykh mentions here is we see again the excellent methodology of teaching by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in that he placed his shoulders upon Ibn Umar's, he placed his hands upon Ibn Umar's shoulders, and so this is a method of teaching, and that he, secondly also he gives examples, like he gave an example here. He could have said, abstain from the world and do not be inclined towards the world. He could have said that, but look at the way he put the message across. In the way he put the message across, he gave a beautiful example. He said, be in the world as if you are a stranger, or as if you are a traveller on his way. So we see that the Messenger uses beautiful expressions and amazing expressions which convey the meaning in the best and the most perfect of ways. The third benefit is we see what we've just mentioned is that he put his hands upon the shoulders of Ibn Umar, and this is again to make the one who is being addressed, for him to be aware and to pay attention and to listen and to receive what is going to be said to him of advice and admonition. And we see likewise the Messenger doing this often, like with Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, when the Messenger, when he taught Ibn Mas'ud the tashahhud, he taught him the tashahhud. He took hold of him by the hand, and so he used this method, and we find this method often being used by the Prophet ﷺ whenever he would teach or admonish the people. The fourth benefit is that the intelligent person, so long as he is alive and so long as he is fit and healthy, then he should be eager to do righteous deeds before death comes and cuts off all of his actions. This is the benefit we take from this hadith. The fifth benefit is that we see that in the statement of Ibn Umar, there are 2 admonitions. There are 2 admonitions for us. The first admonition is that the one who reaches the morning, he shouldn't wait for the evening, and likewise the one who reaches the evening shouldn't expect to reach the morning. And so, as we said, there are 2 admonitions from this. This is the first admonition. And the second admonition in the statement of Ibn Umar is that a person should take from his health for his illness, and likewise from his life for his death. And so the Shaykh finishes with the 6th benefit, which is that we see the virtue and excellence of Ibn Umar radiyallahu anhuma, in that he was affected by this admonition. Ibn Umar, he heard this small sentence from the Messenger, and then he implemented it in his life, and then he used to say, because the hadith says, Kana Ibn Umar yaqul, he used to repeat this often and say it to the people. So it shows that this advice became an integral part of himself, that he used to act upon it and used to pass it on to other people. And so this is the virtue and the excellence of Abdullah bin Umar radiyallahu anhuma. This is the end of what is said by Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah. We move on to Shaykh Salih al-Shaykh, and so he begins by saying that this hadith of Ibn Umar is a great piece of advice, a legacy from the Prophet ﷺ, and through this advice we see that the hearts are given life. That when a heart receives this advice, then the heart is given life. It becomes lively, it's given life. And through this advice we see that a person is saved, and he keeps far, far away from being deceived by this life, and being deceived by things which he's given, like for example, he's given the youthfulness, he's given this like youthful age, and he's given health, and likewise he's given a long life. All of these things are things that Allah has granted to him. But these things that have been granted to him can be a means of deception. He can be deceived by his youthfulness. He can be deceived by his health, and he can be deceived with respect to his long life, and use them for a purpose other than what is truly beneficial for him. So there is ikhtirar, there is deception, and so this advice allows a person to be saved from being deceived in this manner. So he says that Ibn Umar, when the messenger gave him this advice, then he took hold of his shoulders, and this shows that the messenger ﷺ, that he paid attention to this. And Ibn Umar used to be a small boy. He was in his second decade of his life, so he was over 10 but less than 20, so he was in like an early, like a child, a youth. And so it shows that the concern that the messenger had for Ibn Umar. And he said to him, be in the world as if you are a stranger or a traveller on his way. The Shaykh says that this is from the greatest of pieces of advice that is in complete agreement with the reality. Meaning that there is a certain reality which exists, which inshallah we'll explain, and that this advice given by the messenger is from the greatest of advices that are in complete conformity with that truth and with that reality. And the Shaykh will explain what that means. So he says that man, or humankind, man, he first of all began his life in paradise, in Al-Jannah, in paradise. And then he descended from paradise to this earth as a means of being put to trial. Right? So he's put to earth as a means of being put to trial, for ibtila and imtihan, for testing, examination. And so therefore, in reality, man is actually a stranger upon this earth, because he doesn't originate upon this earth. He originated in Jannah. And so when he's been sent down upon this earth, he is like a traveller. He's essentially a traveller. He's travelling from one abode to another abode. And so in essence, really, he is visiting. He's visiting this dunya. He's visiting this worldly place. And so the visit that he's performing is not a visit which is permanent and fixed, rather it is a temporary visit. And so it is like the visit of a gharib, of a stranger. Because we see that the place of Adam alayhi salam, and whoever follows him upon iman and taqwa and the tawheed of Allah and ikhlas and all of these things, then the place for Adam and all of his offspring who follow him upon that is actually Jannah. Is Jannah. That is the permanent abode. But Adam alayhi salam was expelled from paradise when he was put to trial, when he was ordered to obey Allah, not to disobey Allah. Then Iblis tempted him and he disobeyed. And so as a result of that, he was sent down to earth. And then to earth, Allah already had a wisdom and a purpose, which is for mankind to worship, men and jinn to worship Him alone. And so he was sent down to earth for that purpose, to be put to trial. But we see that the reality of the matter is that a person is only a visitor upon this earth, and this earth is only a means of trial for him, and he is a gharib or abir sabil upon this earth. And so in reality, the Shaykh says, as Ibn al-Qayyim said, that a person, that really what he should be striving for, what he should be yearning for, what he should be craving for in his heart is Jannah, because really Jannah is the permanent abode. And his love for paradise and his aspiration for paradise is because that really is his original place, his original abode. Then the Shaykh mentions some poetry, some lines of poetry. The basic meaning of this poetry is, the first one, he says that you can direct your senses or your heart and indulge them in whatever desire you wish. But the true love, but really the love is not anything except for the original beloved. And what he means here, that really the heart is always attached to the very first beloved thing. What it means here is that Adam alayhi salam was entered into paradise. He was able to see with the vision of the eyes and feel and perceive and taste with these senses exactly what is paradise. So through this, Allah gave mankind a taste of what paradise is like. And so therefore, ultimately, there is no love and desire and yearning that is greater than the love and yearning and desire for paradise itself. And the second piece of poetry is very similar. This says, how many places upon the earth are there that a youth becomes attached to, yet his yearning and his desire, the ultimate yearning and desire is for the very first place, the very first abode. A meaning here, Jannah, paradise. So this is the meaning in these ahadith, in these lines of poetry, and so it shows that the heart should be desirous of the original place of residence, which is paradise, and this only takes place in the heart which is sincere and turns to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The heart which has ikhlas, the heart which makes inaba to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, returns to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the heart which is humble to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the heart which is attached to Allah in terms of the love and the raghbah, the aspiration and the rahbah and the awe and the fear and the ta'a and the obedience. So these hearts which are attached to Allah, then they are the ones really who are attached with that place of nobility and honor, which is paradise. And so then these hearts are the ones which realize and understand and know that they are truly strangers upon this world, that they are as if they are travelers on a path. And so anyone who is upon this characteristic and this outlook in his, he has this outlook, then this person will know the truth of this worldly life, and he knows that even if the son of Adam lived for as long as Nuh alayhi salam, because Nuh alayhi salam, he lived for 950 years. So even 950 years is still a stranger, and is still a person on a journey. It's not a permanent, fixed, settled, a residence upon this earth. Even 950 years is a journey. And the Shaykh says, even there are some people who live historically, who have lived for hundreds of years, and there are some who live for 180, and some who live for 140, and some who live for 150. This is known and established. And still, this is considered to be a journey and being a stranger upon this life. And so, therefore, the Shaykh says it is obligatory for a person to understand that everyone is a gharib or an abir sabil, and so they will pass by this world, they will leave this world, and life will come to an end by death. And so a person should understand this, and he shouldn't be, he should never be heedless, never ever be heedless of this world, and with respect to keeping away from the lures of this world. And then the Shaykh he moves on, and he says that this world is a place of trial and testing, and it is a temporary abode. And he then says that Ibn Umar radiyallahu anhuma, he used to give this advice, that when you reach the morning, do not expect to reach the evening, or don't wait for the morning, and when you reach the morning, don't wait for the evening. He says this means that always be upon caution from death, in that death might come to you all of a sudden. So you should be always ready and prepared. And then he mentions a statement from some of the scholars that they said that if you were to say to somebody that there's a type of person that if you were to say to him, you are going to die tonight, then he would not be able to increase in his action. Now there's no time to increase in your action, And so they mention this by way of an example, that you should always be constantly aware of death, and always, act and make sure that you're always acting right now and not delaying. And so the Shaykh says this only occurs when a person constantly brings to mind the right of Allah, the Mighty Majestic, always, and that whenever he worships Allah, then he brings this right of Allah to mind. He's sincere to his Lord. And likewise, in any action that he does, maybe he might have to oppose his family. Right? He makes sure that it's because it is out of ikhlas and following the Sharia. Or maybe when he buys or when he sells, he always makes sure that he is upon ikhlas. And that he is always desirous of wanting to perform that which is halal and keep away from that which is haram. And so, in other words, this is a type of outlook and a way of thinking a person has all the time in his mind, because he understands this advice, because he is acting upon this advice of the Messenger and this advice of Ibn Umar. So it means that this advice is such that it creates this outlook in a person, that he's always bringing Allah to mind, that no matter what he does, whether it's buying or selling or interacting with his family or whatever else it might be, it's always his heart is desirous of wanting to do that which is halal, keep it from that which is haram, wanting to obey Allah, keep it from disobedience of Allah. So really it creates like a type of outlook in him. And so the Shaykh says that this is how he behaves in every single issue that now comes to him. An issue comes to him, so his attitude is that I want to be clear, I want to be upon halal, not the haram, and so on and so forth, because he knows that this action that has come to him, that he's now got the obligation of acting and choosing, that this will miss him, and if he delays it, then it will pass him by. So in other words, the Shaykh is saying that anyone who is upon this state and this condition, they always remember the Sharia ruling, they always abide by it or they act upon it, and if they make a mistake or if they sin, then immediately they seek forgiveness from Allah. And so once they make istighfar, or when they've sought forgiveness from Allah, then they're just like how they used to be before they committed the sin, right? Because they're always hasty in seeking forgiveness. So this is, then the Shaykh finishes on this note, and he says that this advice really from Ibn Umar, who is commenting and elaborating upon the hadith itself, is such that it creates a certain type of characteristic in a person. And this characteristic is what he has described here. So on that note, we inshallah will conclude our discussion of this beautiful hadith, and we will continue inshallah ta'ala in the next lesson with hadith number 41, which is actually a weak hadith, a da'if hadith. None of you truly believes until his desire is in accordance with what I have come with. Even though it can be said that the meaning of the hadith can be found in other texts. So inshallah we'll discuss that hadith next week. So we close the lesson then inshallah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.